Hi, I'm Alvina Ling,
And I'm Grace Lynn.
and we're book friends.
Forever!
We're childhood friends,
Who grew up to be
a children's book editor.
and an author and illustrator. Yay!
Welcome to Book Friends Forever. This is our Superpowers episode.
And check out our website, bookfriendsforever.com, and our Instagram handle at bookfriendsforever_podcast. Alvina, how have you been?
I have been good. So last Friday, Stephen and I went to our friend Tracy and Kirk's, who I've mentioned before, both art directors, their daughter's high school play. And
Oh,
she's the wardrobe manager, I think is her title. So she's behind the scenes. And they did the musical Once Upon a Mattress, which I had never seen
I didn't even
before.
know that one.
I had heard of it. I think Sutton Foster revived it recently. It was really good. It was kind of I guess I'd call it a retelling of The Princess and the Pea.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
it was really funny. I have to say the costumes were amazing. I, I've talked about going to see my nephew's high school plays out in New
Uh-huh.
Jersey, and those are what I think most people would imagine a high school play to be like. This
Mhm.
one is a school. It's Murrow in Brooklyn, kind of bit known for where Basquiat went to high school,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's arts focused high school.
Mhm.
And it was incredible. Like it felt
Yeah.
semi-professional. Like that's where,
Uh-huh.
they came down from the ceiling. I mean, the costumes were
Wow.
so well made and beautiful and vibrant, and the all of the acting was amazing, and the singing. Like I feel like in New Jersey, you might have one or two stars and
Uh-huh.
they have had people go on to Broadway, but this one, it just felt like every performer was really, really great, really great.
Wow.
So,
Is it like Fame? Is the school kind of like
it's not quite like it's not LaGuardia High School, which
uh-huh.
is the Fame school,
Mhm.
but it's very a lot of artsy kids. So, and they do have a theater major, I guess. So they kind of have
Oh, wow.
special like majors, and I don't know. Violet was explaining to us that it's very competitive to get cast into the school plays, and even if you're a theater major, you might never get cast in a
Oh,
show
wow.
like all 4 years. And in order to actually graduate and get the credits, if you don't get you, I think you have to be in two plays. And if you actually don't get cast, you can do wardrobe or see,
Uh-huh.
I forget what it's called, not scenery, but you can,
Props and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
sign up for that to fulfill your major. So that's really interesting.
Wow.
But
That
that
is
was,
interesting.
yeah, that was really fun. And then we we had signed up a long time ago or I had at least, this hands-off New York Know Your Rights training.
Hmm.
So it's basically about how to potentially interact with ICE and to
Oh,
help your
okay.
neighbors or help if you see someone in the process of being kidnapped or basically, or if they come to your door, like what your rights are. um and it was really good. Like I signed up probably last summer, I feel like, and but then last week they sent me a notice saying like, oh, we're doing a training, and thanks for your patience. So we went. It was a beautiful Saturday, um and it was from 11 to 3, and it was in kind of I don't know if it's the city hall kind of area, or it was like a beautiful room, and I think they said there were over or almost 200 people there, and it was really great. Like I think like maybe many of us, I have just been feeling a lot of really helpless, a little bit hopeless, and
Mm-hmm.
being in this room of people from all walks of life, all ages, all races, all there because we care about our country and where this country is heading. That just felt really, really great. So I definitely recommend it. I know when I had Andrew Carr and Carol Hintz on, they both said that that was one thing that they recommend doing is go to a training. So they have them all over the U.S. So if you have the opportunity, definitely I recommend taking the training. But there's a little section. It wasn't just about ICE. They also talked about voting rights and the upcoming elections and kind of our playbook for fighting their playbook for an authoritarian government. So I definitely recommend that. And then just randomly on Monday, my little brother Ben texted and said, this is last minute, but I'm not on my way to New York right now.
Oh my
And I'll be
gosh.
there till Wednesday. And so, we
What was
both,
it for a business thing or something?
yeah, he's here for business. And he didn't really have a lot of free time, but he asked, does anyone want to go see the game one of the Knicks?
Oh.
And, I know Steven has been following the NBA playoffs and he's a Knicks fan and he's been really following it. So I said, well, Steven would, but, the tickets are super expensive. And I thought, oh, it'd be fun, but I just, also it doesn't start till 8, so I said, well, if you get an extra ticket, like one of us will go with you. And then he
Uh-huh.
he was like, oh, really? Because I already got tickets. So I left work a little bit early yesterday, and then we all had a drink, and then he had a work dinner, so Stephen and I had dinner, and then he and Stephen met, and they went to the game, and
Aw.
it was, so I went to bed, before Stephen he got back around midnight, and I kind of woke up. I said, "Who won?" And he said, "Oh my God, it was the best sporting event I've ever seen." I guess the
Aw.
Knicks were down 22 points with like 7 minutes to go, and
Uh-huh.
he said everyone was like kind of depressed, so people were leaving early, and but they came back to tie it, and it went to overtime, and then they won. And of course, New York, the Madison Square Garden, just
Uh-huh.
everyone erupted. So I'm really happy that they had that experience.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I
Well,
know.
the Montreal Canadiens are in the playoffs for the Stanley Cup, and so Alex
Mm.
has been like watching religiously, and I was like thinking like, oh, that would be so cool. Like, I would love to like get him tickets, but like that'd be crazy. That'd be
Well,
bonkers to try to get something like that.
I mean, it would, and it's, so he was able to get tickets for around $500 each.
Oh,
Which is
that's
like
not
it's a lot,
bad.
but I think it's worth it,
I
especially if
mean,
you're that into it, Like,
yeah, no, I'm actually 500. I mean, this is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but I was like that I feel like I kind of feel like that is
well, it's more doable. Of
reasonable
course,
for that kind
better
of thing.
tickets are go for over $1,000,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that's
but
what
I
I'm
do,
thinking. They're all
yeah, I
like
do feel
thousands of
like,
dollars.
it's kind of similar to what we were kind of debating when we were in Barcelona, in Spain, and
Hmm.
debating getting those tickets, and I think it's worth it. I mean,
You have to
but
spend
it
on
is a little.
experiences if you have the money.
Yeah,
That's the
it's
problem.
novel. I think the tricky part is, so when Ben was, oh gosh, I think he was in his 20s. He had just started working, and the Yankees were in the World Series, and he's a huge, so Ben, I think because we grew up in like New Jersey and New York when he was little, he's a huge Yankees and Knicks fan.
Oh.
And it was his, on his bucket list was to go to a Yankees,
Uh-huh.
in the World Series. So he and my older brother Felix, they went and they paid $500 a ticket back then. And the
Uh-huh.
Yankees lost. And I feel like
Uh-huh.
when you pay that much money and then your team loses, it's a little bit like, oh, was
Yeah.
that worth it? But I don't know. It's still, I mean, I don't think he regretted it. And then this one, I didn't realize it. He had never been to the Madison Square Garden, and that was also been on his bucket list. So I'm like, if it's on your bucket list, like, and you happen to be in New York during
Yeah.
game one, I mean, you have to do it. So
Yeah,
yes, I'm
yeah.
glad he did.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for them. And I'm so
Yeah,
glad it was a good game.
yeah, me
So
too.
fun.
Anyway, how have you been?
Oh, yes, how have I been? Let's see. This is the end of the school year, so everything has been like, and Hazel is in eighth grade, which is the last year of middle school. Next year she goes to high school. So there's a lot of like end of year stuff that like is coming up. Like, so I think last I talked to you, I was just about to go see Hazel's play. So Hazel had a school play where she was student Bree. It was
Oh, right.
Bree,
Yep.
not student B and not student Brie Cheese. So Hazel just played a student who was kind of the glue for the play that kind of like introduced all the gods and talked to all the gods and interacted with all the Greek gods. And so since she was just a student, she was just just wearing the same clothes that she wore like
Yeah,
to
that's
school
funny.
that day. And when I saw her on stage, I was just like, so you're just kind of like a louder, more emphatic version of yourself. And she's like, pretty much. And so I'm like, well, you did talk a lot more on stage than I ever see you at home, so that's great.
Did she
So
enjoy it?
yeah, I think she had a good time. We got her a balloon to embarrass her. I wanted to get her a balloon that said like "You're a star," and Alex wanted to get her a balloon that said "Get well soon." And so we compromised on one that said "You did it." And then she received it. She was very embarrassed. She gave it to a friend as soon as possible.
It's funny.
But she did say that she would have preferred one that said "Get well soon." So
Mm,
we'll have to do that for the next one.
yeah.
Because then after that, she had the mayor's dance a couple of days later, which is kind of like the equivalent of like a prom, but it's not formal. I guess you would say it's like the eighth grade semi-formal or something like that, you know.
Okay.
Um,
Does the mayor
but
go? Like, why is it called the mayor's dance?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's just
Okay.
what they call it, the mayor's dance. Um, and but she was so not excited about it. I think because her besties were not in town for
Mm,
it, so she was kind of going with her not her second tier friends, but you know, like friends that she wasn't as close with.
yeah.
And I was talking to all these other parents, and they were saying how excited their kids were, and how like, oh, and so and so's getting their nails done, and I don't know what to do because I guess last year some girl went in on a horse, you know, and so I hope that like so
What?
she's getting all
Like
excited
a
about
real
this.
horse?
Yeah, and so I
Okay.
asked Hazel about it, and she's like, no, I'm not doing any of that." Like she was so not excited about it, and then I did her hair. I was very proud of doing her hair. I did a very elegant chignon, I thought, from a YouTube tutorial, and she went. And then she like texted us 45 minutes later. She's like, "It's boring. Please pick me up." So she was not into it. I think if your friends aren't there, like your good friends aren't there, it's not the
Right.
same. So,
That's
um,
true. And if you, I don't
so,
know,
but she
Hazel
went,
doesn't
and
strike me as someone who dances. Does she dance?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
She's
I mean,
not.
that's also, what is
She
there to
said,
do at a dance?
I,
I mean, I
I
guess you
said,
just talk.
yeah, I said, oh, was it boring? And she's like, yeah, it was really boring. And they already ate all the good snacks by the time I got there.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, okay. So, but at least she went, and I'm glad she went. And then yeah, and then next week is actually a trip to Washington DC, like the school trip to DC.
Oh,
So
okay.
um so there's all this prep for that. So it's just basically all school stuff
Lots of
from here
kid
on.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically my life until school ends.
When is school end again?
June 20th, I think.
Oh,
So
okay. So you have another month.
yeah, but
But
it's
also your birthday happened. How
oh yeah,
was
my
your
birthday
birthday?
happened.
Happy birthday.
So the thing is though, my birthday was the same day as the mayor's dance, so we didn't get to
Mm,
really like do
yeah.
anything. And yeah, I had the day before the mayor's dance, the day before my birthday, I got a massage.
Hmm.
And did I do anything else? I think not too much else because all this other stuff was taking preference. I
Precedence.
precedence. That's it. Precedence, not preference. Yeah, I'm losing all my words too. So,
That's okay. It
um,
happens.
but it's okay. That's why I was trying to think. I still haven't been able to come up with something like to mark the occasion, but at least I got a nice massage. I was like, oh, does this mark the occasion
And
enough?
did
So,
you eat a piece of coconut cake?
you know what? We were going to, we didn't. It was because we got so flustered with getting ready for the mayor's dance that like
Mm.
it was like all like
So maybe you should celebrate again like a week later, like this
yeah, maybe we'll do
Sunday.
it this weekend because it's Memorial Day weekend. So it'll be
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yay.
weekend late for my
Yeah.
birthday. So anyway,
All right.
I didn't
So
mind.
the topic this week is, I guess it's a little random. We're going to talk about our superpowers. And it came up because, after the announcement of my imprint, and I got, so many people like congratulating me and like, people from all walk like all parts of my career, getting in touch. It kind of just made me think about like, oh, how did I get here? Um, and so, so I did, and I remember, when I went for a walk with my friend Erica, just kind of talking about it, like, okay, like what, like what's the special, do we have a special sauce? Like, what is that thing that I feel like, besides luck, which of course is a huge part of it, helped me to get to where I am in my career. And so I thought that would be interesting for us to talk about. So I guess, Grace, I'm going to ask you first. Besides luck, what qualities of yours do you feel have most contributed to your success?
Huh, this is interesting because because it was Asian American, Asian American, Native Pacific,
I
Native
mean, I think
Hawaiian
it's,
Pacific
yeah, Asian
Islander
American Pacific Islander month, but I guess some people
with
say
Native
Asian American
Hawaiian.
Native Hawaiian
Yes.
Pacific Islander month.
Since it was that month, um, the Horn Book was putting out all these links of things of things in that theme
Hmm.
because I don't want to say the whole month again
Yeah.
in that theme. And one of the links that they had shared was a link to my legacy speech, which was
Hmm.
really interesting for me because I was like, oh, and I hadn't read it like in a long time, and I was rereading it over, and it seemed really poignant, especially with everything that was going on with the the whole Mac Barnett controversy, which we don't need to get into, but it was really interesting to me to read it over and to think about all the different things because um, it really, I remember writing it in with three specific audiences in mind. And I was like, one is for all the book creators who are often told that uh, children's books are not important, that
Hmm.
children's books is just like little kid stuff. And then the other was for um, Asian American people who often feel like outsiders. And then the third was for the educators who are now having have a very hard time politically. And it was when I was reading that, I realized, it really is by the kind of like the grace of those three groups that I am where I am now. Like
Hmm.
that's why I still have a career or I had to have a career or why all my books are there because it's those three groups have really supported me throughout these 27 years now. So yeah, I think that's probably what contributed the most to my success is the support of those three groups. So that doesn't answer your question because you're asking me personally, what's my quality?
Hmm.
Uh, I I feel like um I guess I feel like probably it would be persistence because I feel like there are so many times especially early on in my career where I there was no support. There was nothing. Like nobody cared. Like nobody cared about my books except for me, but uh often people ask me, what kept you going, and the truth is, there wasn't anything that kept me going, really. I just did it because I felt like I had nothing. There was, in a
Hmm.
weird way, it's kind of like I had nothing else. Like this is it. Like I got to make this work one way or another. And yes, there were so many things that like made me upset and hurt that it was so unfair that this happened for other books and that I'm getting nothing and blah blah blah. Yes, all those things stung, but at the same time, it was just like, but this is what I've got. So I just got to keep going. I think, you know what I think it is? Now
What?
that I'm thinking about
Hmm.
it, um, I think my biggest superpower, at least in the early years, was what they call radical acceptance.
Hmm.
Um, Basically, it was like seeing what was laid out before me, what my path was, that was like, okay, this is just the way it is. And what am I going to do about it? Like,
Hmm.
you're not going to get any marketing. You're not going to do anything. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. You're not going to get this. That's just the way it is. And um, I feel like nowadays, maybe a better way would have been like, how can I change the system? But back then, that was not how I thought. Back then, it was like, this is the system. How am I going to
Hmm.
work in it? And so, And that is what worked for me, that radical acceptance of all the
Hmm.
crap and
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to navigate through it.
There was a Hidden Brain episode on that, on radical
Yeah, that's why I thought
acceptance.
about that. It was
Hmm.
like, yeah, I think that's what it was, that radical acceptance.
Hmm. I'm trying to think of what how I would answer for you, as in addition to that, because I think I agree. But I do this, I guess I don't know if this is quality, but I think I've often said that in part you just have so many ideas, and
Mm,
I think that's in part your special sauce. I think that's what helps sets you apart from other creators and
mm,
maybe helps you. So that helps with longevity, helps with
yeah.
pivoting, it helps with a lot adapting to the market.
Yeah, maybe that's because they always say like your superpower is something that like you don't really think is a superpower, right? Like because I'm like, I don't really think this is a big superpower. Everybody has all those ideas. It's only been like fairly recently
That you're like,
because
oh, not everyone has all these
that everybody
ideas.
gets like all these millions of ideas. Like I just thought always has like millions of ideas to make it like that could be a book, that could be a book. So maybe my superpower is the fact that I can see a story anywhere out
Yeah.
of anything. So,
Right. And then I think, I mean, there's a certain level of talent that you have and hard work to like actually make that, because I think it's true. I think a lot of people do see stories and everything, but there is a difference between like, oh, that would be a cute story, and then actually make it into something that actually feels different or feels like elevated and feels, because I know that early on, that's what I was so impressed with you. Like when, because obviously we've known each other for a long time, and then we worked on, the Year of the Dog, and now those are like, oh, those are, they're inspired by your life.
uh,
So to me, they're impressive with how you executed it, but it wasn't until you sent me Where the Mountain Meets the Moon that I'm like, what? Where did this come from? Like I don't know. I just was like, wait, how did Grace do this? Like it really felt really special
aw,
and brilliant. So I don't know.
aw.
I think you are a genius and that's your superpower, but but that let's just say
But you
ideas.
have to say that.
No, it's not true with everybody. So
But I feel like, yeah, I guess I feel like maybe I think the things that have brought me here, um, that the grace of those three groups I talk about, which is not really something that I can take credit for, but the things I can take credit for is the radical acceptance of just going of navigating what I've been given or what the industry was like, having lots and lots of ideas and but I think the third thing, and this is the thing that I think I am proud of, is the follow through of those
mm,
ideas. Because I feel like to me, the thing was like I felt like lots of people had lots and lots of ideas. But I did see maybe the difference was like so many people were like, that's a good idea, but they never followed through. And I
yeah,
was like, why don't you follow through? And for some reason, it seemed like so many people had a block from their idea to their follow through. And I feel like maybe my superpower is that I did not have that block. I was like, okay, well, I'll do it, you know?
yeah,
So that's what I
interesting.
think.
Yeah.
How about you?
So, I mean, the first piece I think is we've talked about this, I've talked about this before, but I've always been obsessed with happiness and whether or not I'm happy. And, um, and I actually think that obsessiveness with happiness has helped me be happy. Um, and and mainly because I think how I, define happiness in part was feeling like I'm constantly learning and growing and experiencing things. So I
Hmm.
think that aspect of it has benefited my career, in terms of having a balanced, interesting life. I also think that my connections to people, I guess, I don't know, I just really I'm a people person and I love people and I'm really curious about people and I am pretty good about maintaining contacts, and I'm still friends with a lot of people from my childhood, and including you. And I like to stay in touch with people. And I do think, like, for example, if I look back at the Center for Fiction Medal for Editorial Excellence, how that came about is they ask for nominations. And I think they asked like a lot of agents for nominations, and I'd heard that several agents had suggested me. I feel like if I hadn't made those connections, I mean, that's how those types of, I guess, highlights or things in my life have come about, and so I think it's the people thing. So I listened to Amy Poehler's Good Hang podcast, and she's obsessed with the
Uh-huh.
Enneagram test. And I had taken this test
Yeah.
years ago, but
Uh-huh.
I didn't remember. I was like, what am I? I don't even remember. So I found the results, and you do have to pay to get your
I know.
results.
I was trying to take it before we got on,
Yeah.
and I was like,
I should
bait
probably
and
look.
switch.
I bet I could probably predict which one you are. I don't know them as well, but
Uh-huh.
so but mine was a tie between type 2 and type 3. And so
Okay.
type 2 is the helper and type
Okay.
3 is the achiever.
Oh.
And then my third highest was type 9, the peacemaker. But
Hmm.
I kind of feel like, and I've been told this throughout my career too, is that like, yes, I'm an achiever. I'm very goal oriented and
Uh-huh.
I'm ambitious and I do want to achieve things. But I don't want to achieve those. I'm not cutthroat competitive. Like I
Yes.
can be competitive, but I'm not cutthroat. And I don't want my achievements to come at the expense of other people. And
Yeah.
so I am the kind of I want to lift all boats type of person. And I think that's
Hmm.
how I had been as a leader. And, and I think that maybe is my superpower, that
I think it is.
combination.
I think it is too. Like, I feel like your superpower has always been, and I've said this before, I feel like your superpower is that you have always kind of led by example without even knowing it of how to improve yourself. Like, I feel like everybody around you becomes a better person because you're around. Like, because you are always elevating yourself in different ways, and so just by being around you as an example, we're all trying to improve ourselves too. I don't know if that wasn't
Hmm.
very clear, but I think people get the idea. Like, I feel like you make everybody around you a better person.
Aw, I mean, that sounds very nice. I hope so. I guess
Or if
that's the
you
goal.
or you make, maybe even if you don't make them, you make people want to be better people. That's
Yeah.
probably more accurate.
Right.
Like, and I think like part of the reasons why you're so good at that is because you're so even keeled, and you're so like, and it feels non-judgmental, so like it feels like I've seen people, uh I've seen you relay experiences where uh any other person would be like livid, right? Would be like, oh, I can't believe that person did this. But you're just like, I guess that's just the way he saw things, and I was like, aren't you mad? And you're like, "Eh, like that's him, like." And I think that that is such a gift because I think so many people are so swayed by their emotions they can't see things clearly, and they don't listen to their better angels, right? But you are so even keeled that it's like, oh, well, she's not upset. Maybe I should listen to a
Yes,
better
maybe it's
angel.
my calm heart, which I've
Yes, your
talked about
calm
before,
heart.
is my superpower. Um,
Yeah, I think it is.
yeah, I mean, well, it is true. I mean, I've also been told that I'm too nice, because I think I do see the good in everybody, even
Uh-huh.
if their actions are terrible.
I don't think you're too nice. I think I
I have
think
like the right amount of nice.
I think you're the right amount. It's because
Yeah.
it's not like when people have done things that are not good, uh, you don't say, "Oh, that was good of them," or you don't
All
say
right.
like you
Yeah.
excuse them. It's just you don't get upset, which is sometimes can be irritating when you want someone to be upset with you. You're
Right.
like, "Come
Yeah.
on," like which can be irritating, but at the same time is actually really better in the long run. Like in the short term, it's like no, be mad, throw something. But in the long term, you realize no, that is a much better way. Like
Mm.
you don't. There's that Chinese proverb. It's like that Chinese proverb where like if you save yourself in 5 seconds of if you stop yourself in 5 seconds of anger, you save yourself a whole lifetime of sadness,
Mm,
so it's kind of
that's
like you're
good.
always stopping that 5 seconds of anger, which is
Yeah.
saving us from lifetimes of sadness.
Interesting. The other thing, and I think you had shared another Hidden Brain episode. I forget what it was called. It was
I think the
uh
gossip one.
no, it was the other
Oh, design your life.
yes, Design Your Life. And so I
Yes.
re-listened to that one.
Yeah, and
Eh,
that was where the radical acceptance came from,
Yes, I
I
think
think.
the Radical Acceptance was the second part of that, which I didn't
Okay.
re-listen to, but I think I have listened to it. But the Design Your Life kind of talked about how, like the danger is a lot of people say like if as when I achieve this, then I'll be happy or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And I think maybe where I have, made my superpower about the happiness is I know that happiness is not like a static place. Like happiness is continuing to grow
Hmm.
and experience. Um, and then they talked about this one woman who was really frustrated. Oh, she was frustrated. She was working from home, and then she was about to get on a Zoom call, and then her child was making a lot of noise, and she was kind of irritated. And then she realized, no, wait, you know, I get to work from home, and so I get to have this experience of I get to be here with my child, and I get to experience that. And I think that kind of thinking I'm good at
Yeah, you're good at
naturally.
reframing. I
Yeah.
think you're very good at reframing. And
The silver linings and all of that. So,
and just think and realizing, if you switched it from this point of view, like it's actually not that bad. It's actually kind
right.
of good if you look at it this way and like that way.
Yeah.
So in some ways you find the story and everything as well.
Hmm.
But you always look
Uh,
for the good stories.
that's a good way to end this segment. But I don't know. I'd love our listeners to tell us what they think their superpowers are, because I think we all have superpowers.
Yes.
All right. So for the fortune cookie segment, we thought we'd cover again some more publishing scams because they just seem to be, there's a whole new crop of them that have
And they're
popped
so
up.
good.
They're really
They're
good because of
so,
AI.
yeah.
So I think the last time we talked about that, it was that person who was talking about marketing, and they were obviously using AI to just really compliment the author, and
Yeah.
and so these are similar, but it's more like business speak, I guess. So there's some scams that they pretend to be authors. They could pretend. I actually saw one that was from me, which I had seen before from other editors. So
Huh?
I think an agent had forwarded Megan Tingley one that was from her sent to, I forget, but it was like it was like, it wasn't Marla Frazee,
Wow.
but let's say like
Uh-huh.
someone like Marla Frazee, who of course knows Megan and is like,
Uh-huh.
why is Megan sending me this email like offering to like work with me? So then I saw on Blue Sky that there was one that was sent from me, and it says, and they all say the same thing, but it's like, dear person, I hope you're having a great week. My name is Alvina Ling, and I am the Vice President and Editor-in-Chief at Little Brown Books for Young
Oh
Readers,
my
part of Hachette
gosh.
Book Group. I recently spent some time looking at your work, specifically, and then, titles, and I was impressed by the energy, imagination, and momentum driving the series forward, blah blah blah. And then she's like, or she, me, fake me. I would be very interested to learn more about your current and forthcoming projects, as well as whether you are represented by a literary agent. If you do have representation, I would be pleased to continue any discussion through your agent. If not, I would be happy to outline how the process typically works, should there be interest in taking the conversation further. And blah blah blah. So
Oh
it
gosh,
sounds very professional, right?
it
And
sounds professional, and they even have your
my
like
little
photo and all that
signature.
stuff at the bottom. Like it's
Yeah, it's the
and
wrong number for sure. And so in there is a signature. I don't know where the email is, managing editorial
editorial.
at
Yeah.
hbgusa.com.
Wow. It
Um,
sounds so good. I mean, like
yeah,
if I was a person who was trying to break in and I got this, I'd be like, "Oh my gosh."
you'd be so excited, right?
Yeah,
Well, so
it's so
you
bad.
had a scam recently that convinced
Yeah.
you.
I s- so I get these all the time, right? But they're getting so usually I just delete them. But there was one that was from a podcast, and it sounded really good because it was like, oh, Grace, we really like your book, The Gate, the Girl, the Dragon, and Children's Book Week is coming up, and we would love to have you on the podcast to talk about the book. And I was like, well, this one actually sounds maybe legit. And I went and I looked at it's a real podcast, of course, and like and the name was looked like it was the same name as one of the producers. I was like, okay, maybe this is legit, right? And so I responded back, and they're like, great, and they we set up a whole time and date, and I was like, oh wow, this one's actually legit. And then they're like, and then they sent me a link and said, okay, and this is here's the information in info where you could like write if it's like she, her, all those things. So like, please fill this out so we can make sure we have everything. And so I was like, okay. So I went to the form and I started filling it all out. And then at the very end, it was like, $130 for to be, for the interview fee. And I was like, what? And I was like, $132. I like, I don't. And I was like, this is a scam. And then I just never
Yeah, I
like
mean, so
didn't
that's
reach.
a similar one, I guess, to Andrea Pinkney got one from NPR,
Oh my gosh.
and it said, and of course, it's a real person at NPR. It's like, I hope you're doing well. My name is Sarah Handel, and I'm a producer at NPR. I recently revisited this title and was deeply moved by its powerful exploration of
Yeah.
blah blah blah. We would love to invite you for an interview to discuss the inspiration behind your novel, your approach, blah blah blah. So. Andrea responded and copied in Cheryl, who is also
Uh-huh.
your publicist,
Yeah.
and Cheryl, and and then they wrote back and said, "Thank you for your lovely response. I'm thrilled to hear that you're interested." Blah blah blah. And it said, "And thank you as well for connecting Cheryl. It's wonderful to have her included in the conversation as we coordinate everything. In terms of timing, blah, blah, blah." And then she said, "There is also a one-time participation fee of
Yeah.
$130 associated with the feature, which helps cover the interview coordination, scheduling,
Yeah.
placement, and promotional support surrounding the segment." So
I
then
really
Cheryl's like, "No, that's that is not
no,
real."
it's not real. But
No, and
it's
130 is pretty tricky because
yeah.
it's very specific, right? As an
Yep.
amount. And it does feel like, oh, and in this case, she did, Andrea did clock that it was a Gmail address, but she knows that NPR sometimes works with like freelancers, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
anyway, warning to
it's
all of you
yeah,
out
and
there.
that's what makes it so sad is like one day it is going to be something legitimate that I'm going to ignore, and I'll apologize right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be somebody legitimate, and and I'll just ignore them. But it's going to be so sad. I was thinking about we're talking about those books, Heated Rivalry.
Hmm.
And I guess the way that her books were optioned by the producer was like he just like sent her a DM, through like Instagram or something. And I was like, oh, I bet you it sounded just like what
Right.
your fake Alvina wrote. It was like because he was like, I really love your books, this and this and this and this, like, and then I really want to option it. And like if that were to happen, like I'd just be like, ignore, and then maybe my book would never be the next heated rivalry.
I know. So there was a USA Today story that covered this, and it said author scams. Well, actually, I don't know what the headline was, but it's basically about author scams. It says, no, Colleen Hoover did not. No, Colleen Hoover didn't email you. Authors face new barrage of email and AI scams.
I
But
know
they
it's
had
so
a
terrible.
section that said, here are some best practices to keep in mind. Remain skeptical of any paid publishing or promotional service.
Yeah,
Agents will not ask you to pay upfront, but instead they take a commission. Traditional publishers will not ask you to pay for their services, etc. Double check email addresses. Agents and publishers affiliated with a firm will typically have a company address, not a Gmail or other free email provider. Double check for slight misspellings too. And beware of cold emails from beloved authors. Check their website and social media. Does their email listed match the one you're receiving? Is there a publicist or agent you can confirm with? Are they asking for money? So,
yeah. I mean, once they ask for money,
yeah.
just
It's kind of
go
like
away.
the typical at Hachette we've gotten people will text and pretend to be our CEO, David Shelley.
Yeah.
And then eventually it turns, and so people are like, oh yes, I'm free. What do you need? And then eventually it'll turn to, can you, I need like 10 gift cards for Target, things like that. And it's like, okay, never mind. But actually, Tracy Shaw, she fell for one. Luckily, it was an
Oh,
internal test, but it was a text from Saho, who,
yeah.
we work with, and it was like a link to a PDF or something, and she clicked on it and it said, "This was a test. You failed." Which they do sometimes at our company because they're trying to really train us. And I think if you fail a test, you have to take extra training.
Oh. Maybe that's good. That's good though,
No, it's
maybe.
good. Yeah. And it
Because
makes it like almost like a game. So,
yeah.
all right.
It's so sad. They're like, yeah, they're getting better and better and better, these scams.
Fortune cookies.
All right, so let's move on to our Tell Me About segment. Alvina, will you tell me about the book Their Name is Alex by Paloma O'Toole?
Yes, I would love to.
Oh, should we
So,
explain what the Tell Me About segment is before? Because I remember
right.
sometimes they're
Although
like,
this one
what
is a
is it?
little self-explanatory, but basically, on occasion, one of us will tell you, our listeners, and you, Grace, and me, Alvina, more about a book either that we worked on, or I mean, mostly it'll be a book that we worked on, and tell about the book and also the backstory behind the book. So
Yes.
for this one, this is a picture book that just came out a couple weeks ago, and it is a colorful, fun picture book about gender identity. As you can tell from the title, their name is Alex. But it's also about fish. So
Oh,
it's about a class field trip to the aquarium, and the teacher asked the kids to pick their sea creature that they'd most like to be. And so, one kid picks jellyfish because he likes how the jellyfish moves. Another girl picks the octopus because, they can do so much with their, 8 arms. And Alex struggles to find a fish that feels just right. But then they discover the goby fish, which is a fish that can change sex.
oh,
Not, we don't say gender because technically, I guess gender is a construct, but the fish can
uh-huh.
change from male to female.
Oh,
And so Alex all feels like, oh, wow, like that's the fish, that I would most like to be.
uh-huh.
And also the goby is yellow, which is Alex's favorite color. So,
Oh,
and I knew about this book came about in a kind of a untraditional way. So Tracy Shaw, who I've talked about already this
uh-huh.
episode, she had met, as a lot of designers do, with an artist rep. And this artist rep happened to show her like a fully realized book dummy for this book. And Tracy just really loved it. And so, but she's a designer and designers don't acquire. So when that happens, back then the designer would bring the book to our picture book breakfast.
Hmm.
And this gets shared with basically all the picture book editors and designers. And I remember just really loving it because the art is so bright. It's almost neon, which
Uh-huh.
everyone knows. Not everyone knows, but I love neon. I love bright colors like that. And it's just really charming. And it just felt like the title was just perfect because it tells you exactly what it is. Um, and so we discussed this book in our picture book breakfast, and everyone really liked it, but they felt like it needed more layers. And, so I ended up reaching out and I did a revision with Paloma, and then I brought it to our acquisitions meeting, and then I was able to sign it up. And it was really great. And Paloma is originally from Spain, and they go by they, them as well. But they did not have the words to describe how they felt until they were an adult working as a teacher in the UK. And I think one of their students came out as gender fluid, and all of a sudden it made sense to them. So that
Oh.
is what inspired them to write this and create this book. And so this is their debut um, picture book, and it's really lovely. So I hope that
Aw.
people will experience it. We are publishing it during a tough time, I think, for for
For these
gender.
kinds of books and
Yes.
for people and for for non-binary people as well. So
Yes. So, I'm sure it'll experience some book banning, but I hope it really finds its audience. So
me too.
that is Their Name is Alex by Paloma O'Toole. And now we'll end as we always do with what we're grateful for. Grace, what are you grateful for?
Oh gosh. Okay, what am I grateful for? Well, I was thinking about my birthday, and the one thing that was kind of magical was that the I have this tree peony which I got from a friend of my mom's like 3 years ago. So a tree peony is a different than the peonies that maybe you're used to. It's like those are like bush peonies. A tree
Hmm.
peony is like it's much more like the Chinese paintings, and they're
Oh.
very, very finicky. So I had planted this tree peony, and it just kind of like sat there for 2 years, and then
Hmm.
last year it was definitely alive, but nothing was blooming. But last year I could see it was like doing better. And so I was like, okay, we'll let it go. Like, hopefully it'll settle. And then this year there was actually like a big bud. And then on my birthday, it blossomed and it's like the most beautiful flower ever. It's like this
Oh.
beautiful pink flower. It's so large and perfect. And it was like right on my birthday. So I was like, oh, it's
Aw.
my birthday gift from the earth.
That's
So I'm really, really
lovely.
grateful. It was like a 3.5 year, maybe at least 3 year wait for this plant to bloom.
So
So I've
how big is the plant? Like, is
the
it a
plant.
tree or more?
No,
No,
it's called a tree peony because it's like
I
the
think I'm
stem is
picturing, oh,
like the
like
stem is like a
woody.
branch, but
Okay,
it's
but
not
it's
it's
small.
only yeah, it's small. But I mean it can grow as big as a bush, but the bloom is like bigger
Mm,
than my hand, like
wow,
so
that's awesome.
so it was really beautiful.
Yay,
So
that's a great.
I'm very happy about that. How about you? What are you grateful for?
Well, last week was our first half day Friday of the summer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they announced usually it doesn't start till the Friday before Memorial Day, but they gave us an extra half day Friday. So that was nice. So Stephen and I went, this was before Violet's play, but we went and had, a lunch and some wine at a neighborhood place, and it was just really lovely. So I'm grateful for half day Fridays and that this is a perk that continues.
Yay.
And
I
that
want half day
was
Fridays too.
you could do that. You should just tell yourself, give yourself a half day Friday. So that was our superpowers. That was the our superpowers episode. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Alex at Paceywork Studio for editing this podcast. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend about it.
Yes, please, Alex, edit this podcast. Tag us on social media using the hashtag BookFriendsForever, or send us a message via Instagram at BookFriendsForever_podcast, or via our website, BookFriendsForever.com. And please join our Patreon. The link is in the show notes.
I'm Alvina Ling, and you can find me at Alvina Ling on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
I just realized that one of my goals was by my birthday was to do those dish
Mm.
towels, and I did not. Well, I have the designs, but I just didn't do them. I just have honestly, I just don't want to pull the trigger on spending all that money getting them produced. So I have to think about it. Like they're ready to go. I just need to decide if I'm going to do it. So anyway, and the reason why I thought of that was because we talked about the Patreon, and the Patreon was
Yes.
one of the dish towels was one of the things we're thinking about doing for that eventually. But anyway, I'm Grace Lynn, and you can find me at Pacey Lynn on Instagram and Threads, and author Grace Lynn on Facebook.
Have a great week.
And don't forget to read. Bye.
Bye.